All right, so today we're diving into The Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri.
Oh, okay.
And I found this really great review over at a blog called Bookish Reshuffle, and they had some really interesting things to say about it.
Cool.
So I thought maybe we could just dive in and see what they had to say.
Yeah, let's do it.
So this book, The Lowland, it follows two brothers, right? Subhash and Udayan.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes place in the 1960s in India and eventually makes its way over to the U.S.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and the reviewer kind of pointed out something that I thought was really fascinating. They said that it's not just a family drama, which you might think at first glance, but Lahiri really brings in this whole historical context of the Naxalbari movement.
Oh, wow.
It's like she's showing how these huge societal events impact individual lives.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes The Lowland so powerful. It's not just about these two brothers and their family. It's like their story becomes a lens through which we can understand this really turbulent period in India's history.
Exactly. And for anyone who maybe isn't familiar with the Naxalbari movement, could you maybe give us a little bit of background on that?
Sure. So the Naxalbari movement was this peasant uprising that started in the late 1960s in West Bengal, India.
Okay.
It had roots in communist ideology, and it was all about redistributing land to the poor, but it wasn't just about economics,
Right.
It was really a struggle for social justice and equality, and it really sparked debates that are still going on in India today.
Wow. It's amazing how something that happened so long ago can still have such a lasting impact.
Yeah, totally.
And you can definitely see those echoes of the Naxalbari movement in the relationship between Subhash and Udayan.
Oh, yeah.
Like Lahiri describes their bond in this really unique way. She says their mother considered them fraternal twins.
Fraternal twins.
Yeah, she said her pregnancy lasted almost 15 months.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's like they were destined to be connected on this really deep level.
It makes you wonder how much that shapes their individual identities, Having such an intense bond from the very beginning.
Totally. And then, of course, their lives take these really different paths. Subhash ends up going to the U.S. for higher education.
Right.
While Udayan gets deeply involved with student movements in Kolkata, which the reviewer points out is directly influenced by the Naxalbari movement that we were just talking about.
So it's like they each embody a different response to all the turmoil that's going on in India at the time.
Right. And I think that's so interesting because it raises the question of, were these choices driven by their personalities or by the circumstances they found themselves in?
That's a really great question, like nature versus nurture almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then things take another turn when Udayan's fate is kind of sealed. I don't want to give too much away.
Right, of course.
But it leaves Subhash to kind of pick up the pieces, as the reviewer puts it.
Okay, how so?
Well, Subhash is driven by his feelings for Gauri and his love for Bella, who is Udayan's daughter.
Oh.
And it's almost like he's trying to atone for his brother's choices in a way.
That's heavy. I mean, talk about a complicated situation. It really brings up those themes of responsibility and guilt within a family.
Yeah, and through it all, Lahiri's writing is just, it's amazing. Bookish Reshuffle really praised her style, saying she portrays her characters in this really natural, rooted, and very real way.
She really has a knack for capturing the nuances of human experience,
Right. It's like she's holding up a mirror to human nature with all its flaws.
Yeah, and she doesn't shy away from difficult emotions, or moral ambiguity. That's something you see in a lot of her other works, too.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like The Namesake and Interpreter of Maladies.
Oh, I've heard of The Namesake. I haven't read it yet, though.
It's great. You should definitely check it out. It explores similar themes of identity and belonging, but within the context of the Indian diaspora.
Okay, I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, you should.
So back to The Lowland.
Yep.
The reviewer also highlighted Gauri Udayan's wife as an unconventional Indian woman.
Interesting. What do they mean by unconventional?
Yeah, well, I guess that's kind of up for interpretation.
Yeah.
They make the point that Lahiri portrays her in this really relatable way, even though she might challenge traditional expectations.
It's so important to show those different facets of womanhood,
Yeah.
To break free from stereotypes and portray women as complex individuals.
Oh, really?
And Lahiri does that so well. She doesn't just label Gauri as unconventional. She shows us her struggles, her desires, her complexities, and that's what makes her resonate with readers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, wow, I mean, The Lowland sounds like a really powerful book.
It is.
It's got this whole intertwining of personal lives and historical events, complex family relationships, and these really realistic characters who are just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about how historical events, even ones that happened a long time ago, can shape who we are today.
Right, and it makes you wonder, have you ever felt like a specific event, big or small, has had a major impact on the course of your life?
Hmm, that's a great question. I think we've all had those moments that kind of shift our perspective or push us in a new direction. Maybe not as dramatic as the events in the Lowland, but, still impactful in their own way.
Right, like those turning points that you can look back on and say, yeah, that changed things.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to leave it for today.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the Lowland.
Of course, it's been a pleasure.
And for all of you listening out there, I hope this has sparked your curiosity to maybe pick up a copy of the book yourselves and see how these themes resonate with you.
Definitely.
And maybe even think about how historical events have shaped your own lives.
You bet.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.